Before we get started, I just want to say something. When I review tools, I'm not doing it to cause any butt hurt for anyone. I'm giving you my opinion. If I don't like a tool, it doesn't matter what brand it is, I'm going to say it's a crap tool. Festool make it, as you can see, I've got a lot of Festool stuff, but I'm still going to say it's crap if I think it's crap. I also hate sharpening with a passion. And I hate using a jig. I think it's crap and a pain. It's fiddly to use. And that's this... A boot. We'll get into the why I think it's crap in a second. But I think I found a better solution. It's certainly cheaper than this. For me, it ticks all those boxes that I'm looking for in sharpening, apart from one. I don't think it's as comfortable on your hands as this one is. It's not as fiddly as this. Comes in two parts, and we'll get into the why I don't like this Veritas tool now. Using this Veritas jig, you'll need all of these bits and pieces. I find it all a bit much. Made way more complicated than it needs to be in my opinion, and boy is it fiddly. Not to mention that the nuts aren't captivated, so it could go AWOL, especially in a spit and sawdust joint like this, never to be found again. But to actually get to the point of sharpening, it's a slog, and a bloody fiddly one. It shouldn't be like this. And then everything on this jig is in Imperial, which winds me up. Even the nuts and bolts, the Allen key heads are Imperial. But nonetheless, that's nothing in comparison to this. It slips. If you only do this on the backstroke, it's fine. If you're doing on the push-pull stroke, which speeds up regrinding, it slips. For me anyhow. Normally this usually happens much later on in the process, never this quickly. But even though it slipped, it still needs pliers to get it back out. Blows my mind. So because it slipped, you have to set the jig up again, to set the angle of the dangle. And then only to find out that it just starts a new angle of attack. It's like starting again. Don't get me wrong, I have tried to resolve this with Veritas, but alas, never solved it. I can't stress how anal I am about setting this up as well. It makes no odds. I can't bear it. Just to show you it's not the stone, I've flattened the stone twice and still the same issue.
Our survey said...
And then there's this beauty. Yeah, great idea, but a dickhead nonetheless. If you're not thinking... and this is worst case scenario, you forget to zero that out after you were last done, chances are you'll pick up the jig later on and crack on, then only to find out you've reground to the wrong angle and have to start all over again. Fuck that. Take a mental note of this. What you see in front of you, you need all parts for, to sharpen chisels and plane irons. The cost of that's £114, $114 US. If money wasn't tight, I would have tried the lie-nielsen. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. But then I saw then you also need the extra jaws, which bumped up the price to, fuck that level. £221, that's $278 US. That's a hell of a lot of sharpening jig that doesn't consist of much. And I could tell I wasn't going to get on with that unicycle balancing on a beach ball type jig.
Heaven. Definitely heaven.
Oh, Johnny, come lately. To be honest, straight out of the box, it didn't slide as freely as this does now. I needed to add some wax to it. I used my usual Japanese wax that I use on my cast iron tools and my car. The tolerance on it is as tight as a gnat's chuff. That pop sound wasn't the sound of it. It's built like a tank. It's a lovely bit of kit, I must say. I found this on Banggood whilst browsing for something new. You know what it's like, you fancy a new tool, and free is even better. This jig was on the first page. It caught my eyes. It looks like it solves all the issues I see with all the other jigs. I saw it was red and then found, it's a blatant copy of the woodpecker's jig, which I should say I couldn't find online to purchase for love nor money, and the cost of that is 200 quid plus shipping, so say 250 quid and something like 250 US. Yeah, fuck that. So to put it through its paces, not off to a good start though. I pulled out my soft wood paring chisel, which was set to a primary bevel of 20 degrees, and with this I've got no chance, so it's back to 25 degrees primary bevel. For those of you that are tempted to write in the comments, 250 quid is a good reason to learn how to do it by hand. Just bore off. We know you're the go-to woodworking. You're better than us, mere mortal. That unicycle wheel, it has its advantage for say putting a camber on your blade, but will take some practice to get that right, I'm sure. In my opinion, this Eclipse style jig has been taken to the next level with the extra wheels. But being able to swap the wheels around to the outside or the inside is just genius. I tip my hat to woodpeckers for that. My advice though when doing this is to take it completely apart, because the Allen key won't fit in between the wheels, or shorten the Allen key, up to you. I have tried other sharpening systems such as the Tormek and I absolutely hated it. So bloody slow. Great for kitchen knives though, I should say, and it also had an angle finder which you can see at the bottom of the screen. Boy, did I miss that with the sale of that Tormek. So when I saw that comes with the jig, I did bust a nut. I should say I had the Tormek with the Waterstones, not the diamond wheel. This jig though won't hold skew chisels, fishtail chisels, it just about holds the short Veritas block plane iron. If you know their blades, they're stupidly shaped, probably for cost reason, who knows, but there's not much in the way of parallel size for any jig to hold on to. But to my surprise, I was shocked to see it does actually hold spoke shaped blades. It literally just holds it enough to not slip, that is. I'm not going to lie here, I was gutted to see this. It will not grip my 3mm chisel. I sharpened 2 PMV 11 blades, which take forever to sharpen, as in a new grind, then honed, and 2 chisels to test it out. I didn't have any issues. I did double check here to see if the jaws hadn't kicked out when you crank down on the blade, but there's plenty of meat there, so that stops that. Probably why it's such a chunky monkey. And most importantly, on the push-pull strokes, it doesn't slip. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to have lots of different chisels with different variations of steel set at whatever angle, depending on how hard the steel is. If it's mallet work, paring work, and you may not follow what everyone else says to do so. So you lose track of what angle is on what. So this is invaluable to me. One of the biggest USPs of buying this jig was getting that, but not sure what 20-degree panning is. Like what, for gold or what? As does the Veritas jig, this needs to be cranked down, nipping it up tight. I did, however, find a problem which did my nut in for hours. Was it because I may have put a camber on this particular iron or what? What it turned out to be was I hadn't cut the belt from the belt sander in the right place, and I was grinding the chisel over the old joint of the belt. New belt cut properly and all was good again. Now, not having that knob on the jig like the Veritas jig has for the secondary bevel, how'd you get a secondary bevel? Well, easily, and you're not going to skew this up like I mentioned earlier ever again. Simply use the locator pin on the left hand side of the jig, which sets it at a 2-degree increments. That right there pretty much sums it up. It's not fiddly, is it? It's straightforward, quick and painless, which makes an awful job that little bit more enjoyable, to the point I'm wondering, how can I make that a permanent attachment to my bench without it being in the way? I feel sharpening jigs need to be a wham-bam affair. With it in a drawer, it's not going to be like that. I can know I'm going to be asked this in the comment section, so I thought I'd just clear this up. I use, as you can see, the belt sanding belt, and I go to what was a 400 grit diamond stone, 1000, 2000, 8000. And then I don't use leather strop. I don't really get on with them. I find if I put too much pressure on it, it rounds over the blade, and might as well just start again. Just pretend that's a leather strop, and that's kind of what I mean. So I use the MDF with that green compound, and I don't need to worry about how much pressure I'm putting down on that onto that MDF. Works a treat. However, it is a big boy when using small chisels. The wheels are on the outside, meaning you're only going to be able to use about 1/3 of the face of your stone. Do bear that in mind. You're going to need to flatten it a bit more often. I just want sharpening to be over as quick as possible because it's much nicer listening to this. I give this jig 4 out of 5 dim sum, 1 less than 5 because it can't hold a 3mm chisel. This is a massive improvement on the Eclipse style jig with the wheels and how you can swap them around like that. And for the price of 63 quid for all of that and 78 US dollars, that's a no-brainer to me. The build quality is bang on, and you would never have guessed it's made in China. But to be fair though, their quality has hugely got a lot better these days since those days of Chinesium, as painful it is to say. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested. If you enjoy my content and fancy supporting my channel, that would be wonderful. We get fuck all from YouTube ad revenue these days, so please use the Patreon link below, not the YouTube membership, as they take 30% of that, which isn't cool. Till we meet again, be lucky.